Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global TV News Circle here in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I am Fawzia Lukman. President Bola Tinubu will be launching the Renewed Hope Police Town meeting on Monday in Lagos in a bid towards strengthening community policing and for Nigerians to key into the Renewed Hope Police agenda of his administration. Announcing this on Thursday in Abuja, Minister of State Police Affairs Imam Suleiman Ibrahim stated that she would be engaging stakeholders on Monday in Lagos. She added that the town hall meetings would be held not only in Lagos but across the country to afford Nigerians the opportunity to air their views on issues surrounding the security of life and property in accordance with the global best practices. Special Advisor to the President Bola Tinubu on Health Matters, Dr. Salma Anas Ibrahim, said the poor attention to primary health care in Nigeria adds to the burden of morbidity and mortality, especially due to pregnancy-related conditions. Anas Ibrahim also said the challenges to reducing maternal and child death remain the problem of a poorly functional primary health care system, with issues of low health care coverage for life-saving interventions, ill equipment and weak services system, and low coverage with community and household level intervention, among others. She said this on Friday at the 7th Annual Conference of the Association of Nigerian Health Journalists in collaboration with the World Health Organization in Nasarawa State. According to her, the primary health care is the fulcrum of a resilient health system and should be structured to be able to deliver services that will support the attainment of UHC and guarantee health security. The Sultan lived in Ikabi local government area of Kaduna State. He made this known at the silver anniversary of the 11th Emir of Jama'ah Muhammad Isa Muhammad Simen on the throne at the Emir's Palace in Kafanchan, Kaduna on Friday, noting that Mustafa Musa described what happened in Kaduna as highly regrettable, owing to the fact that the duty of the military is to protect citizens while assuring the people that serious actions will be taken to prevent reoccurrence, adding that the president has ordered a thorough investigative. Abubakar Bichi on Monday resumed interactive session with the GOAs over the 2024 declaration and inflation to a major problem, hence the need for CGAs to appear before the committee for further interaction. Bichi noted that reducing the burden of Nigeria's debt profile, sectoral budgetary allocations, and the dynamics of budget release, economic diversity of the bill, and effectively implementation of the Appropriation Act 2024. To this end, the committee chair summoned government-owned enterprises to include the Minister of Finance, FIRS, NUPRC, NCC, CG Customs, NNPCL, NPA, NIMASA, Minister of State for Petroleum, the Central Bank of Nigeria, among others, to appear in person on Monday 10 a.m. prompt local time. Minister of Federal Capital Territory Nyesom Wike has said President Bola Tinubu's administration will continue to take hard decisions to make things work in the FCT and entire Nigeria. Wike said that the project he is embarking on in the FCT were born out of hard decisions by his administration to deliver on the presidential mandate. The minister made this known in Abuja during the official flag-off of the second phase resurfacing and remedial work on some road within Highborough Asokoro district. He stated Tinubu's administration had good plans for Nigerians, but her decision must be taken to actualize thorough the renewed hope agenda. The Nigerian Senate Committee on Labor and Productivity, led by Senator Dicket Plank, has taken steps on the augment of 2024 budget of the Labor Ministry, alienate with the ministry's proposed allocation of 13 billion. These actions was prompted by a motion raised by Senator Tahir Mongono during the committee's meeting with the Minister of Labor and Employment, Samuel Lalong, the Minister of State, Honorable Nkiruka Oyejichi, and other ministry members at the National Assembly complex in Abuja. Sandra Apa has the details.
Senator Mongono emphasized the committee's authority in appropriation, asserting that they possess the power to adjust the budget as necessary.
This budget as presented by the executive is not sacrosanct. It's subject to tinkering by the legislature. So as such, we have all the powers of appropriation. This is very clear and unequivocal in the Constitution. The power of appropriation lies with the National Assembly. So if in our wisdom and in the wisdom of our appropriation committee and the leadership, that the allocation that is made given to the Ministry of Labor and Productivity is grossly inadequate, we have all the powers to tinker it and increase it in tandem with the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President.
This committee, that what has been submitted, what has been estimated, or the envelope given to Ministry of Labor and Productivity should be increased? Yes. Is it all your opinion? Yes.
Expressing gratitude, the ministers highlighted the challenge of inadequate funding in the Labour Ministry. Minister Simon Lalong pointed out that insufficient funding for labor issues contributes to civil unrest in some African countries.
There was every strike everywhere. There were reasons for some of this strike. If the ministry is well funded, there will be no strike in Nigeria. No strike in Nigeria. There will be no strike in Nigeria. You can see most of the African countries now, they are collapsing and people are now changing government because the workers are not adequately kept.
Sandra Akpa reporting for Global TV News.
The World Health Organization on Friday said antimicrobial resistance may lead to 10 million deaths by 2050 if urgent actions are not taken to reduce AIDS burden. The World Health Organization also expressed worry over the increasing use of antimicrobial medicines, saying that the total global antibiotic consumptions in humans, animals and agriculture increased by 30% between 2010 to 2000. It declared that the AMR is one of the top 10 global public health threats facing humanity. The technical officer of the AMR at the World Health Organization Nigerian office, Dr. Lakshmikant Shavan, said this is the 7th annual conference of the Association of the Health Nigerian Journalists in collaboration with the World Health Organization in Nasarawa State. The federal government has announced the imminent enforcement of the Disability Rights Act starting in January. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betty Edu, made this known while addressing journalists on the World Disability Day in Abuja. She said the act is an effort to protect the rights and improve the lives of people living with disability in Nigeria. Global TV brings you more. The Disability Rights Act was passed by the National Assembly in January 2019 after several years of advocacy by disability rights activists. However, the legislation has not been fully enforced until now. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation says the enactment and implementation of the Disability Act is a deliberate collection of data of persons with disability, adding that the act covers a wide array of rights, including the prohibition of discrimination against persons with disability in various sectors such as education, employment, healthcare, and public transportation. However, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation further called on speakers at the State House of Assembly to domesticate the act.
The Disability Act has made provisions to prohibit all forms of discrimination, marginalization, and abuse of persons with disability. The government is already putting in place mechanisms to establish an access to work skills. We're challenging all the speakers and the state houses of assembly to quickly swing into action, working with the executive to domesticate this act.
Executive Secretary, National Commissions for Persons with Disability, NCPWD, explained that the act is aimed at eradicating discrimination and ensure equal opportunities for every citizen, irrespective of their physical or mental abilities, adding that the Commission is transiting from the era of advocacy to the era of enforcement to ensure the provisions of the law are properly enforced.
The era of enforcement is here. By January, the Commission is expected to move out in full force to make sure that the provisions of the law are properly enforced. The Commission will start meeting with its own partners, compose the task force immediately before this Christmas. Everything will be on ground before the roundup of this year, so that as we come early next year, the task force will be inaugurated. Immediately after inaugurating the task force, immediately by the time on the 16th of January 2024, our assessment may not only end on the physical facilities, but staff in these institutions. We want to know how many they have as persons with disabilities, the total number of the staff in these institutions, and then the maintenance of the 5% in these institutions. So we have to find out all of this so that we can be able to know whether they comply with the
The House Committee Chairman on Disability, Honorable Bashir Daudu, shed light on sanctions on the discrimination of persons with disability and proposed establishment of a university for the deaf in Nigeria.
It is the law of Nigeria that if you discriminate against a person with disability, there are sanctions. If you approve a building without following the code, you can be imprisoned for that. All persons with disability must be insured with the NHIS. We're looking at the bill to set up a deaf university.
It is expected that the Enforcement Act passed into law will enhance the inclusion and accessibility of persons living with disability in Nigeria. Fauziya Lukman, Global TV News. In a bid to eradicate the judicial system on individuals detained and further go on trials without having access, the federal government, in partnership with legal stakeholders, have launched a police duty solicitor scheme, PDSS, to help curb out such practices in the system. Sharon Ajay completes the story.
The Chairman Police Service Commission, Solomon Arase, says the natural right with enhancement of fundamental human rights of individuals, unless otherwise proven, should be duly respected. He emphasized on the need to push the scheme forward as part of its aim for the voiceless to be heard, decongesting the police cells of innocent people.
In view of the rising incidents and complaints from the public bordering on violation, infringements of people's human rights by the Nigerian police force. The introduction of the PDS in response to the imperative outlined in the Administrative of Criminal Justice, which the Attorney General just alluded to, was a watershed moment in our commitment regarding the rights of individuals in police custody. Historically, detainees faced prolonged periods in police facilities without access to legal representation, leading to routine violation of their rights. The PDDS, driven by a commitment to justice, has become a mechanism through which lawyers provide free legal services to detainees across Nigeria, ensuring that their rights are not only protected on paper, but upheld in practice.
The Attorney General, Lateef Fagbemi, ably represented by Director Solicitor Department Gladys Odugbaru, in a speech urges all states to domesticate the scheme for full benefit of innocent prisoners and the government.
The scheme also comes with the advantage of preventing undue congestion of inmates in correctional facilities, with the consequential benefits of saving government the resources required to maintain a large population of inmates or detainees. I therefore enjoin all the states to domesticate the PDSS in order to extend the benefits of the scheme across the country and further deepen criminal justice reforms.
Based on the financial aid gotten by the federal government, the Director General Legal Aid has assured a successful operation of the scheme. Also added that the more the funds, the better the work.
But we can assure you that with the little that we have been able to be getting from the federal government in terms of our appropriation, in terms of statutory funding, we have been able to do as much as we can be able to do. But it is not to say that we cannot do more if we have more funding.
Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.
The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons has said it has reduced and received 21,181 victims of human trafficking in 20 years. The Director General of NAPTIP, Fatima Wazira Aziz, said this when she appeared before the Senate Committee on Social Duties for the defense of the 2024 budget. She said the agency will try to support victims as long as they needed to be supported, noting that the process requires time and a lot of money. She explained that NAPTIP provides legal, medical support, rehabilitation, and reintegration support for the victims. You're watching Global TV News Circle, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We are on StarTime channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. When the news circle returns, counterfeit Naira notes in circulation as Naira scarcity persists, says CBN. The news continues with details of these and other stories right after this short break. Please don't go away. Welcome back to Global Television, bringing you live broadcast of the news circle from the nation's capital, Abuja. The Program Officer of the Gombe State Agency for the Control of AIDS, SACA, Hassan Mohammed, has said that the number of children infected with the hormonal deficiency disease has been on increase, adding that gender-based violence plays a pivotal role in its spread. Mohammed disclosed this in an interview with journalists on the commemoration of the 2023 16 Days of Activism organized by the Center for Integrated Health Programs on Saturday. According to him, the cases of rapes of children and homosexualities among adolescents increased the prevalence of HIV infection, adding that the state governor had in recent times suspended some big names from offices as a result of sexual harassment of small children in the society. Mohammed further said in SACA, these are one of the drivers towards HIV in Gombe State, as small children and even mad people are being raped, transferring these kinds of infection to the society. So it's a problem within the society these days. And on the foreign scene, French Energy Minister Agnès Pannier-Runacher says Saturday she was stunned after the oil cartel OPEC urged its members to tout any deal targeting fossil fuels at the COP28 conference. The minister said she was counting on the presidency of the COP not to be influenced by this declaration and reach an agreement which affirms a clear objective of phasing out fossil fuels. She tweeting that, "I am stunned, quote and unquote, that this statement from OPEC, and I am angry," she said, from the climate conference in Dubai, adding that OPEC's position endangers the most vulnerable countries and the poorest populations who are the first victims of the situation. OPEC Secretary General Haitham Al-Ghai sent a letter to the group stating members and 10 Russia's-led allies this week after negotiation at talks in Dubai released a draft deal that included calls for the phase-out of fossil. Guys urged the group to proactively reject any text or formula that targets energy that's fossil rather than emissions. The letter has drawn anger from activists and the High Ambition Coalition, a broad group of nations ranging from Barbados to France, Kenya, and Pacific Islands. The United States has vetoed a United Nations Security Council resolution demanding an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the war between Israel and Palestinian group Hamas in Gaza. The U.S. blocked the resolution Friday, backed by almost all Security Council members and dozens of other nations demanding an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. The Association Press AP reported 13 of 15 Security Council members voted in favor of the draft resolution put forward by the United Arab Emirates, while the United Kingdom abstained. The vote came after UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres made a rare move on Wednesday to formally warn the 15-member Council of a global threat from the 2-month-long war. The US and Israel opposed ceasefire because they believe it will not benefit Hamas. Washington instead support pause in fighting to protect civilians and allow the ceasefire of hostages taken by Hamas in deadly October attack on Israel. A week after dozens of miners were buried in mudslide in Zambia, the government says on Friday it was committed to rescuing all those stripped underground. Vice President Mutali Namalango told Parliament that operations to retrieve about 36 workers will continue indefinitely after a survivor was pulled from the rubble earlier this week. The miners became trapped last week when torrential rain set off the torrents of mud that buried the open cast mine in Zambia's main copper belt region. A 49-year-old was rescued alive on Tuesday evening after 5 days below ground. Namlango says the man is undergoing treatment at a local hospital where his condition has greatly improved. Russia's Vice President Vladimir Putin said he will stand for re-election in 2024. According to the Russian news agencies, this will allow the Kremlin leader extend his decade-long reign on power into the 2030s. The 71-year-old led Russia since the turn of the century, winning 4 presidential ballots and briefly serving as prime minister in a system where opposition has become virtually non-existent. Putin told Lieutenant Colonel Artem Zoga, a Russian military officer, about his decision to participate in the vote following an award ceremony for army personnel at Kremlin. And in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria on Friday says its attention has been drawn to the circulation of counterfeit banknotes. The banking regulator noted that the counterfeit notes were common with higher dominations by some individuals for transaction in food markets and other commercial centers across major cities in the country. In a statement signed by the Acting Director Corporate Communications CBN, Sidi Hakama, on Friday, the development came as bank depositors continued to complain of cash shortage both from the ATM and other counters in the bank. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Mele Kyari, yesterday described oil theft and vandalism in the Niger Delta region as a calamity, saying there are over 4,800 illegal connections on crude oil pipelines in the area, and one that this could frustrate the projections of the federal government. Speaking yesterday in Abuja when he appeared before the Senate Committee on Appropriation on the proposal budget for 2024, Kyari said that the daily oil production will depend greatly on the security situation in the oil-rich Niger Delta region, describing the act of vandalism and oil theft going on there as a calamity and completely abnormal. Meanwhile, there was a sharp disagreement yesterday between the Senate and the NNPCL over plans to increase the crude oil production benchmark in the 2024 appropriation bill from 1.7 million barrels per day to 1.8 million barrels per day. African Development Bank Group President Akinwumi Adesina has warned that a new EU carbon border tax could significantly constrain Africa's trade and industrialization progress by penalizing value-added export, including steel, cement, iron, aluminium, and fertilizers. While addressing delegates at the Sustainable Trade African Conference held at the UAE Trade Center in Dubai, Adesina, with Africa's energy deficit and reliance mainly on fossils, especially diesel, the implication is that Africa will be forced to export raw commodities again into Europe, which will further cause the industrialization of Africa. That's it on Global TV Circle. We are on StarTime channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. On behalf of the production team, I am Fauziya Lukman, thanking you so very much for watching.